Hey guys, welcome back. So today we're back out at the range to take a look at the AKV9 after being repaired by PSA. They made a number of changes to the gun. When I first shot this gun, I was skeptical whether or not they could actually get the thing to run right without making significant changes to the design. And they made significant changes to the design. And one of those parts, at least, they call the MAC bracket because of the particular type of failure I was having in the first video. And yeah, so I'll link to that and let you guys watch the announcement video that they detail all the changes that they made to the gun for the relaunch, what they're calling a relaunch of the AKV9. But really quickly, just by opening up the gun, you'll see now that the recoil buffer is now working in conjunction with a piece of aluminum back here. And why they did that is because the bolt could travel too far rearward and get stuck behind the hammer, and it was also causing timing issues with the ejection. When the gun would fire and eject the spent case, it was causing some issues there. So they said that the bolt was not machined to the right tolerances. They put this little buffer system back here, so you have this rubber buffer, and now you have an aluminum buffer, and it severely shortens the throw of the bolt. So it's taken an inch of throw out of the bolt, which then in turn keeps the bolt from moving so far rearward that even with this rubber bracket, or I'm sorry, rubber recoil buffer missing from the system completely, it still won't let the bolt get back here far enough where it hangs up on the hammer, which was another part, or another problem, I'm sorry, that I discovered with the gun. Then right here, when the gun would malfunction in the first video, we would get live rounds when we were trying to clear the weapon, and we get spent cases falling into the fire control group of the gun. Well, they've welded a bracket in here that, with the bolt shortening its throw, and in conjunction with this bracket, theoretically, it should be impossible now for a live or spent case to get into the fire control group of the gun. They also made some changes to the top cover up here, which you'll be able to see in the video that I linked to down below. All right, so let's put the gun back together and do some shooting. Now, you still have to, when you put the gun back together, you still have to push the hammer down with your finger to push the bolt home. And this little guy is riding forward, but it locks, has a little ear on it that locks into the rear of the recoil spring guide. So it keeps this aluminum bracket or piece from rotating. All right. So now let's put that back together, hinge the top cover up, put the recoil spring back in there. There we go. And then put the top cover down, and the gun's ready to fire. All right, so we got 20 round magazine. We have some 124 grain ball. This is from our friends over at Federal. They do send us this ammunition for free, so we'd like to thank them for supporting the channel. If you guys would like to buy some Federal ammunition and use a discount code, our friends over at LAX Ammo have a code down below that you can use to pick up some of the ammo and get a discount. We get no financial kickback from the use of that code. All right, go ahead and load the magazine into the gun. And here we go. We've already fired one 20 round magazine with no issues. And just to get the sight re-zeroed, it was about 4 clicks off. And now, this is the second 20 round magazine. Let's see how she works. Wow, works just fine. Now you can see the bolt. If you look inside there, you can see the bolt doesn't travel far enough back now for spent cases with that MAC bracket in there to get behind the bolt and into the fire control group. So that's pretty impressive. Now we've brought out several different types of magazines. We have some original CZ magazines. We have some of the newer CZ magazines with the windows. We have some Manticore Arms magazines with the steel feed lips, and then we have some PSA magazines for the Scorpion, which also work in the AKV9. So today we're going to put several hundred rounds to the gun with Fiocchi and Federal and see if the gun performs. But so far, 40 rounds in, it seems to have resolved the problems that I was having with my gun the first time around. We are 100% viewer supported through Patreon, and there is a link down below if you'd like to support us in our efforts to bring you the best, most unbiased information that we possibly can. Another great way to support us is to swing by our Forge from Freedom t-shirt store and pick up one of our new t-shirts, like this new CNN shirt. And again, there's a link down below, and that directly supports us here at the Military Arms Channel. All right, guys, here we go. This is where the rubber meets the road. Right now, I have 25 rounds loaded into a Manticore Arms. This is their CZ magazine, which has steel feed lips. And I don't believe we've ever tried these in the AKV9, so let's go ahead and see. Okay, it fits into the magazine well, a little bit tight. Hit the bolt release. Chambered just fine, it seems. And we're just going to do some mag dumps. All right, so the Manticore Arms magazines seem to work pretty good. Here we have a CZ standard Scorpion magazine with the polymer feed lips. All right, that seems to work just fine. Seems like the ejection pattern's a little bit better. I only saw 1 or 2 rounds go forward. This is one of the PSA 35 round magazines. Again, we have 25 rounds loaded. All right. Last but not least, this is one of the new CZ magazines. This is the windowed magazine. And I think this is actually a Fiocchi that's loaded into this one. So we've been firing a mix now of the 124 grain Fiocchi and the 124 grain Federal. All right, 100% function out of 4 magazines. I don't think I have any left on me. So I can say right now, that's more than this gun's ever gone before without a failure of any kind. So that's pretty good news so far. Pretty good news indeed. Let's going to shoot some more ammo today. We're going to see if we can't get through at least 500-600 rounds of a mixture of, we got some Ammo Inc., Federal, and some Fiocchi. So the guys at PSA sent me 2 extra magazines when they sent the gun back. So now I have a total of 3 of their 35 round mags to try out. Now these do have steel reinforcements in the feed lips, and they are supposed to work in a Scorpion. So when we bring our Scorpions out next time, we'll go ahead and try these PSA mags. Now these things are pretty much unobtainium. I've been following their website trying to order more, and they're perpetually out of stock. But if you can get your hands on them, they seem to be very well built. I like the fact that it's the polymer is molded around the steel reinforcements on the feed lips. That's just more 124 grain Federal. And another PSA mag. So far, guys, we're having no issues with the gun whatsoever. And that's the true test. When I say we've had no issues with the gun whatsoever, usually the next magazine I have a malfunction. So that's a test that you just witnessed here on the Military Arms Channel, and the gun passed it. All right, so far, so good with the AKV9 redo. Jason's standing back now to get a wide angle shot so you guys can see the ejection pattern on the AKV9. In the first video that we put out, it was ejecting all over the place, which is typically a bad sign. This thing seems to be much more consistent now, which is a good sign that they've gotten things really sorted out on the gun. And this is their 35 round magazine with 35 rounds loaded. No malfunctions today, guys, and that ejection pattern really looks good. The Mac bracket is a piece of U-shaped steel that they welded into the receiver that blocks live rounds and spent cases from presumably falling back into the action, which is a problem that we had over and over again with the gun the first time around. So I'm going to try to set that situation up here one more time to see if it's going to happen. Now, it would happen when we are going to clear the gun with a live round. If we tried to clear the gun like this with the muzzle up, the round would fall back into the fire control group. So I'm going to go ahead and put a live round in the chamber, drop that bolt, muzzle up, even going to tilt it back this way so the round falls right there. It looks like the bracket caught it. But it will not fall into the trigger group. So I set it up to fail. I pulled the bolt back slowly so the round would fall back into the action, but it was not able to fall into the trigger group, which requires opening the top cover to clear the malfunction. If you do it like this and really slow and cause that malfunction, you can easily fix it by letting gravity do its job. So let's try it with a spent case, if I can get this to fit into the chamber here. All right, same thing, pull the bolt to the rear. Okay, so there's the spent case inside the receiver. I'll shake it around. It's behind the bolt, but it's sitting on the Mac bracket. Gravity, do your thing, and it clears. So it looks like they fixed that issue, so no longer can I get live rounds literally behind the bolt or under the hammer, which is a problem I was having before. So it's kind of become Military Arms Channel tradition to answer two questions. Does it take Glock magazines? No, it doesn't. It takes Scorpion mags. And how does it 80s hip fire? Well, we can find out while we're bump firing it. Let's see if we can bump fire this bad boy. There we go. I figured it out. It's really weird because there's not much of a recoil impulse with the 9mm, but I figured it out. That was the first try, guys. That's pretty funny. So 80s hip fire is a definite go, and it does bump fire with a little bit of practice. Well, guys, as you can see from the empty boxes in front of us, we fired over 600 rounds through the new and improved AKV9. Now, of course, they knew whose gun this was when they were implementing the fixes. So the argument could be made that they specially tuned this gun just to make sure it worked for me. But I honestly don't think that's the case. If you watch the video that I linked to down below, they've implemented significant changes into the gun. No longer can you sweep the safety up past the top cover. No longer can ammunition fall behind the bolt and get into the fire control group. They have a U-shaped bracket welded in there. They've changed the top cover design so it's more rigid. So they've actually implemented changes that does make the gun run 100%. Now, we fired some Fiocchi ammunition, we fired some American Eagle ammunition, and we fired some Ammo Inc. ammunition out of CZ Scorpion factory magazines, and two different types of CZ Scorpion factory magazines, some of the Manticore Arms magazines, and even some of the PSA magazines. Every magazine runs just fine in the gun. Again, over 600 rounds fired. So do I think the gun's fixed? I honestly do. I went from really being kind of bummed about my purchase, thinking there was no way they could get this gun to run right, but they did. They listened to the feedback that the community had, and they implemented significant changes, and they are calling it a relaunch of the AKV9, and I am madly in love with this gun now. Out here shooting it today, I am extremely happy with the performance of the gun. I honestly believe this little thing is going to run 100% going forward. We haven't run it with a can yet, so you're going to see it in future videos. We will put a suppressor on it. It's a 1/2x28 thread, so we can unscrew this muzzle device. So stay tuned for that. If you would like to support us, you can go buy Copper Custom, which is our online store, and I would love to link to it, but YouTube doesn't want you practicing your Second Amendment rights. And also, we are Twitch gamers, guys, so if you want to join in on a stream, if you're a Patreon, you can join in and play with us live online through Twitch. There is a link down below if you'd like to subscribe to us over on Twitch. Guys, thanks for 11 years of support. And here we go with one of the new CZ magazines and some Federal 124 grain ball. And let's see if we get a malfunction on the last mag of the day. That would be just my luck.